Now, most business owners, to different degrees, they do want to grow, right? And if you want to grow, the only way you're going to grow is by building a great team, by building a team of what we say here at Work Better Now, of people that have an owner's mentality, people that will make sure that the job gets done, it's getting done well. Okay. Clients are well taken care of, fellow team members are well taken care of. That's the key to having that approach. It's not like, oh, I need to just hire somebody to be in this role. I got to hire somebody who's excellent, who's excited about it, who fits in with our culture, and is ready to drive through a brick wall for the success of the company.
Welcome to the New Talent Playbook Podcast, your go-to resource for building exceptional teams and thriving businesses. Each episode delivers actionable insights on harnessing offshore talent, integrating innovative technology, cultivating a vibrant company culture, and attracting and retaining top performers. Subscribe now to never miss an episode. For more resources, visit thenewtalentplaybookpodcast.com. And now, here's your host, Rob Levin.
We have a very special episode for you because today we're flipping the script. You're going to hear me getting interviewed by none other than John Jantsch, founder of Duct Tape Marketing. We're doing this to celebrate the launch of my new book, which is out now. It's called The New Talent Playbook, The Ultimate Guide for Building Your Dream Team. In it, I share with you a clear, proven framework to help you build your own high-performing team. Getting your own copy is easy. Just go to thenewtalentplaybook.com. And now let's get into today's episode.
Hey, welcome, everyone. This is John Jantsch, the founder of Duct Tape Marketing. If you're tuning in via LinkedIn or you're a podcast listener, well, you've got a treat for you today. I am going to interview my friend Rob Levin. We're going to talk about his new book, The New Talent Playbook, and who knows, we may talk about dozens of other things along the way as well. So, Rob, welcome.
Thanks, John. Great to see you. And I'm really excited to be doing this with you today.
So congratulations on the new book. I know it's a big deal. I have had the pleasure of doing it a couple of times, and it feels great getting a message out to the world that you can be really proud of. So we've known each other for, I'm going to throw out at least 20 years. And I've seen your career. You know, you advise lots of people through change. This book feels a little bit like a culmination. Would you kind of call it that, of like a lot of things that you've done and a lot of things that you've learned? When did you realize business owners need to hear this now?
When you and I met, John, I had a media company called the New York Enterprise Report, which was for business owners. And we touched upon a lot of topics. And one of the things I noticed way back then was we all know that talent is so important to the success of your business. Yet it is one of the things that I have found most business owners struggle with the most. Yeah. And so I noticed it way back then. But what has happened, let's say over the past 5 to maybe 8 years or so, is the talent game, if you will, has totally changed. The way people want to be managed has changed. The way that they want to be retained has changed. The way the things that drive them to work harder, all of that stuff has changed. So when you put all of that together, now is the time to write the book. Plus, at Work Better Now has done quite well. We've been around now for about 6-7 years. And this is not my first business. I didn't really get it right when it came to people the first few times around. And we definitely did, my partner and I, we did a much better job. So putting all of that together, I just thought now was the time to publish the book.
And flipping the other side, you were talking about employees or talent, how it wants to be managed. But business owners really, I think, have really woken up to their access to talent, to fractional this and fractional that. So getting parts and pieces from really the best of the best. I mean, that's really changed a lot, I've seen over the last few years, hasn't it?
It has. So I think business owners have realized that there's changes going on, yet a lot of them are still craving for like, all right, I know that there's changes going on. I know that, remote work will open my talent pool up. I know AI is impacting my business, but they're not exactly sure what to do. And again, that's why the book is there.
And I think you also, what's the term that you're actually saying that small businesses are in a talent crisis, but don't know it, right? And so what are a couple of red flags or signs? Like if I'm sitting out there going, oh, this thing they're talking about, how would I know if I have it?
Yeah. First of all, let's talk about what we're all exposed to, which is we're exposed to the media. And all you're reading about, particularly this week, is just like layoffs and layoffs and layoffs. Those layoffs, let's remember, those are large company layoffs, right? And you got to remember that the qualities that it takes to thrive in a large company may not be the same qualities that we need in a small business. So You combine that with the fact that there are demographic issues. You got more people retiring than entering the workforce. Work habits are changing. So all of that is what's going on in the background. But the signs that I think a lot of people are experiencing are you have people on your team that you know are C players and you're afraid of replacing them because there's just not enough people out there to replace them. But another big sign, and this one's very subtle, John, is you've had these big goals and you've kind of pared them back and pared them back and pared them back. Now, some of that could be your strategy, but more often than not, that is because you don't have the team, the dream team. You don't have that team in place. And that's what we're trying to do with the book is show you, even with those constraints, with the talent crisis, that you can still build your dream team. And here's how to do it.
Would you say that the hiring model that a lot of small business owners kind of default to, I mean, put a job up on Monster, get a whole bunch of resumes, sort through them, would you say that that model is kind of broken?
It's changed. It's changed. Yeah. And even if you go before then for, I dare say it, like old timers like us, back in the day, there was this thought like these people will be lucky to have a job at the company. Right. That is gone. I'm just telling everybody, if you're one of those few that are still thinking that way, that thinking is 100% gone. And the way I want people to think about recruiting is as if they were selling to customers, right? When you're selling to customers, you're putting on your best look, whether you're doing that digitally or in person, and you're trying to recruit these people, these customers. You got to be thinking about candidates the same way. Examples of what that might look like is you got to sell your company in the job posting, right? Mm-hmm. You have to check your Glassdoor score. If you haven't checked out Glassdoor, just go to Google or chat and type in Glassdoor and your company name and find out what everybody's saying about what it's like to work in your company. Your recruiting experience has to be quick because people are looking for quick turnaround. People might be interested in working with you, but if somebody's going to offer them a job quicker, a good candidate might take that. So there's a lot of things that have changed there.
When I hear you talk about that, it's almost like you need to have pipeline in place because I think what does happen to a lot of people is they're like, oh, crap, we have this need, fill it, right? As opposed to, hey, we've been talking all along, like we're going to grow and we're going to need people. Would you see it that way? We have to actually recruit 24/7 and as opposed to just like in crisis.
Yeah, there's two things that come to mind when you mention that, John. One is, and this has been something that I've thought about for years and many other people have, which is you're always recruiting. In other words, you find somebody at an event or you hear about somebody, stay in touch with that person. But the other part of that is also, it takes a long, even if you're moving quickly, it takes per LinkedIn, I think it takes 44 days to hire somebody. And that's once you put the job posting up. So as you're planning your growth and you have your marketing plan and, you've looked at your cash flow and stuff like that, but you got to plan in advance for hiring and you're going to be in much better shape and you're going to have a wider talent pool to choose from.
One of the things you talk about is hiring for fit, not just function. I think a lot of people get that idea. How do you go beyond the resume? How do you uncover some of that? I don't know what we call them, soft skills. Do we still call them that today? How do you uncover some of that goes beyond the resume?
Yeah, if we put soft skills aside for a second, the thing that I think it's really important, particularly for small and mid-sized businesses, where it's a cozy environment, remote or not, to think about is you want cultural alignment. And that starts by knowing what your culture is, right? And having a culture by design. And I have a whole chapter on the book that gets into, even if you've been in business for 20 years, you want to evolve your culture because every business does have a culture, whether it's by design or not. Designing that culture and understanding what the elements of that culture is. And then you could talk about your core values, which are the bedrock of your culture. And you could literally just talk about those things on an interview and ask people for examples of, hey, like one of our core values at Work Better Now, for example, is put your talent first, right? We put our talent first. So ask people about, hey, what does that mean to you? How have you exercised that kind of a core value in your workplace? I always love to ask about what people have done, not just about what they think. And then, of course, those are very much tied into the soft skills, right? Are they good communicators and stuff like that? And by the way, there's great assessments which don't have any bias, which we all do. All humans have bias. There's great assessments out there. Assessments have to be part of your hiring toolkit.
I like to ask them what their favorite baseball team is, but to me, that says a lot about them. So Work Better Now is remote by design. My company is remote as well, has been for about 10, 15 years now. Are there differences in hiring remote talent as opposed to, we're all in the office together and the culture exists because it exists, whereas you have to be maybe more intentional about creating a culture in a remote environment?
I got two things come to mind again when you ask that question. Number one, yes, in a remote environment, you have to be more intentional, particularly about communicating. And we talk about over communicating at Work Better Now, which is, the email, and we have the weekly meeting where everybody's on. We use Microsoft Teams, and then back that up with processes and make sure everybody knows where to find things. You have to over communicate in a remote environment because you don't have that water cooler. You can't just stick your head back and go, "Hey, what did they say about this thing?" Right? You don't have that. You might
Yeah.
have that on chat, and you have to have multiple channels for people
Right.
to communicate. The other thing to keep in mind is, and obviously we're very pro remote. It's helped us tremendously and our clients as well. But not everybody is made to work in a remote environment. Some people need that elbow to elbow camaraderie in an office. And that's something you can cover on an interview, which is ask them what they like about their existing job or previous jobs. And if those were in office, you can drill down a little bit more about what are some of the things that kind of light people up, because that's what you want. You want a company full of people that are excited to be there. We have a funny expression. We have a staff meeting every Monday and hey guys, TGIM, right? Like people are excited to be back at work.
That's awesome.
And that's what I'm going for in the book, John. It's like,
Yeah.
you can have a company full of that. You don't have to have a company full of like good enough people.
So let's go into one very specific position. I know you make a strong case in the book, and you have for a long time talked about the idea of hiring a full-time assistant, that leaders need assistants, and not to look at it as overhead, but as a force multiplier. Can you break that down a little bit and talk about that for some companies being maybe their first strategic hire?
Yeah. Funny enough, John, I'm actually talking about a conversation I had this morning. I was at a breakfast meeting. I'm in New York at 8 a.m. I was sitting next to a friend of mine who happens to be a client, and they're growing like weeds. They're in the security space. And he actually has 4 people from Work Better Now. And I didn't realize, he just told me, he's like, yeah, and by the way, Rob, one of these days I'm going to hire an assistant. He's the CEO of the company. And I thought it was nuts. And I said, well, Steve, I got one question for you. You're growing, you're telling me you're constrained. What would you do with 2 hours more a day? And his eyes just went big. And he said, oh my God, I'd be able to increase our growth rate from 30% to probably to 50% because I can bring in more business. I said, okay, what's stopping you? He goes, I know. I made him commit, whether he gets them from us or somebody else, I don't care. But he's a good friend of mine. Steve, please get an assistant. What it really comes down to is, look, the pace of change in business, as you know, John, is changing at ludicrous speeds today, right? Yeah, everything's changing. And as a business owner, you need to be thinking about, how do we harness that change, right? You need time to do that. And a lot of those things in terms of strategy and what customers want, those are usually within the unique ability of the business owner. And I love that term from Dan Sullivan. Yeah. Your unique ability is something that excites you, that gives you energy, something you're uniquely good at, and it drives major value for your company. Most business owners are spending 20% of their time on their unique ability. They should be spending 80% of their time on their unique ability. And that will change the trajectory of their growth. And you get there by hiring an assistant to take all of those non-unique ability things off of your plate and enabling you to spend, close to 80% of your time on your unique ability. And those are the things that are going to really drive growth. This episode is brought to you by Work Better Now, your trusted partner for accessing high-performing talent from Latin America. Our clients say that partnering with Work Better Now has transformed their businesses by providing the proactive, reliable, and skilled professionals they need to thrive. For more resources to help you grow, visit workbetternow.com/eguide. And if you're ready to build your dream team, head to workbetternow.com to schedule your consultation today. As a special thank you to the New Talent Playbook podcast listeners, we're offering $150 off for each of your first 3 months. Just mention New Talent Playbook during your consult.
Let's zoom back out again then, just kind of more globally. How does a leader of a business make this shift to, because admittedly, even in my business, but certainly I know I've seen a lot of this, hiring is much more of this is an overhead thing, as opposed to it being a way that we're going to scale or a way that we're going to truly grow. So how do you make that mindset shift to talent first, as opposed to filling seats?
I'll say something that might be controversial. Maybe this talent first idea is not for everybody. If you're a business owner and you love doing all of those little details, those administrative things, then okay, that's fine. And maybe talent's not that important, but realize you're making a decision that you're capping your growth. Now, most business owners, to different degrees, they do want to grow, right? And if you want to grow, the only way you're going to grow is by building a great team, by building a team of what we say here at Work Better Now, of people that have an owner's mentality, people that will make sure that the job gets done, it's getting done well. Okay. Clients are well taken care of, fellow team members are well taken care of. That's the key to having that approach. It's not like, oh, I need to just hire somebody to be in this role. I got to hire somebody who's excellent, who's excited about it, who fits in with our culture, and is ready to drive through a brick wall for the success of the company. Right? That's a very different mindset. And then you start to think of those people as investments and not as expenses. And John, I started my career as an accountant. As an accountant, yes, they might be expenses on your tax return, but trust me, people are investments.
Yeah. So we're 15 minutes or so, almost halfway through this interview, and it's the first time I'm going to bring up AI, which is amazing. But is AI changing how we need to think about talent? So in other words, we had very specific roles that we hired people for. They were doers in a lot of cases. I mean, you had managers as well. But is AI changing who we hire now, or how we need to think about training, or how we need to think about what skills somebody brings?
That's a great question. And the answer is a little tricky, and I'm going to explain why. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. I'm going to jump ahead somewhere between 12 and 24 months. And John, you might have a different opinion, which I'd love to hear. I think in 12 to 24 months, you're going to start to see small businesses using AI agents. And if you think about your org chart, okay, here's a way to think about this is, let's say you have 10 people in your company, or it doesn't matter how many, right? You have 10 people. Each person in your company is going to have several AI agents that are doing various tasks. And your job as an employee will be to manage that agent. It might be to build that agent because they're going to be easier to build, and also to check the work of the agent, and then to tinker with the agent if the work product that they're doing is not really where it needs to be. That's where I think small and mid-sized businesses will be in 12 to 24 months. Yes, there are agents, and we're using some in our company already. There are agents that you can deploy today. This is well within the grasp of small businesses, but I see more and more small businesses using it in 12 to 24 months. Now, going back to your question, how does that affect hiring today? Well, whether it's hiring or whether it's training, I'm a big fan of upskilling, which is bringing training to your people, whether that training's internal or external. And, there's LinkedIn does training, there's Coursera, there's a million different classes that somebody can take. And AI, of course, is a popular subject. I do believe that business owners need to be thinking, how do I, the term we're using at Work Better Now, and I'm using air quotes here, how do I AI enable my team so that they are comfortable with AI? They don't see it as a threat. They see it as something that will free them up from routine work and actually to be more creative. But they're going to have to understand what AI can do. How does it work? There's prompts, and then there's really good prompts when you're asking AI a question, as one example. Another example would be when you're building AI agents. And again, I think this is a few months out for some small businesses, building other agents that are going to check the work of the AI agents that you have. How does that match up with how you see things, John?
Yeah, I think the time frame is so hard because the hype in AI was so loud when it first came out, and all the promise of what it was going to do. And I think people are kind of settling into, oh, this is actually going to be plumbing in our business ultimately. And I think you're absolutely spot on. Where it's headed, when, is a little tougher to decide because there's a lot of bugs still to work out in that. But I think that it also means that the skill is going to be one more of managing, of providing insight, because AI that goes completely wrong for your brand, which it will do, can do, there's got to be somebody there that has the voice and the taste and the strategy and all those things to be able to manage that. And to me, I see that's where some of the skill is going to change to being more of, I have to be much more strategic in using these tools as opposed to just shifting the tactics I was doing before to somebody else or something else.
I agree 100%, John. And another way to think about it is, let's say you have an employee named Jane in your business, and Jane is managing a new person. That new person is going to do work. Jane's going to review the work before it moves on. That's the same thing you're going to need to do with AI agents, but then having the ability to know how to fix things when they go wrong, which, by the way, I do believe is going to get easier for people.
But to your point further, Jane needs to be trained. Jane needs to have systems. Jane needs to have SOPs. So I think you're absolutely right. We need to think of actually hiring AI to some degree the same way we hire talent.
I see it very similarly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could tell you at Work Better Now, we've been using AI for some time, but we really now are upping our game. And our plan is to AI enable. Right now, it's about 550 certified professionals working for our clients so that they have these at least basic, if not more advanced AI skills, because it's going to be a big part of our clients' workforce.
Let's move on to, I guess this is a Work Better Now specific type of question. You're very high on the Latin American market, especially for North American-based small businesses. What makes that region unique in terms of talent, culture, time zone?
I think you just answered the question. Number one, we have found and continue to find that there's an amazing base of talent. These are people with great attitudes, a fantastic experience. Their English is terrific. And yes, on top of that, the similar time zones can't be overstated. Super, super important. And then there's cultural similarities, and it seems to be working pretty well, not only for us, but for our 300 or so clients.
Well, and we count ourselves as one of those and have had tremendous success with the folks that we've been able to work with from Work Better Now. So I can attest. You've actually created a tool you call the Culture Tune-Up Workbook. Can you talk a little bit about what's in there?
Yeah, this is sort of like a primer before the book.
Yeah.
Let me just back up for a second, John. Culture is so important. A couple of the chapters in the book are on hiring and retention. Hiring and retention can be a lot easier when your culture is great.
Sure.
And they can be really difficult when your culture is not great. And not only that, it's a lot more fun to go into a company, even as the owner, especially as the owner, when you have a great culture. So the Culture Tune-Up, which I think you can find at the newtalentplaybook.com, is just a quick assessment that somebody can do that helps assess their culture. And I don't remember if it's a part of it, but again, I'll just repeat, if you're not sure what your Glassdoor score is and what people are saying about what it's like to work at your company, just Google Glassdoor in your company, and that'll also tell you a lot. But culture and core values are the foundation of the employee experience.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because when you talk about retention and you attracting people, a lot of times people, it's almost like they whitewash their brand, it's there or it's not there. You can intentionally bring out the best elements of it. You're not just going to attract the right talent because you put out an ad that says we're a great company to work for.
That's kind of what we were talking about a few minutes ago about how things have changed. So maybe you could do that years ago. Well, now, whether it's your regular brand is out there with Google reviews and all sorts of other sites, and then your employer brand is out there with Glassdoor. The whitewashing days are kind of gone.
But I will say, though, that intentionally promoting your employer brand is a step that you should be taking. Because if you have a great place to work and employees love working there, I've always tell owners, business owners, that's a great marketing message too. Our employees love it here. Wouldn't you want to hire a company where everybody's really happy and loves to work there as opposed to the cheapest price or whatever it is? So I think that idea of employer branding is really a significant arm of marketing today.
Absolutely. Shout your employer brand out, just like you're shouting about maybe shouting is not the right word, but talk about your employer brand, just like you talk about your company brand.
Yeah. Why don't we wrap up with you just talking about where people can get the book, learn more about Work Better Now, and anything you really want to share to invite people to connect.
Yeah. Thanks, John. So the book was just released. You can get it on Amazon. You can just type in New Talent Playbook or Rob Levin. That was a pretty cool experience when I typed in Rob Levin into Amazon this morning and the book came right up. I don't know if that was my Amazon or what, but anyway, the book is available for Amazon. And right now we're doing this for another few days. The Kindle version is 99 cents. Our goal is just to get the book out to as many business owners' hands as possible. Anybody's interested in having a dream team, it's not about making money off the book. It's about getting the book into your hands. And then for those who want to explore fantastic high-performing talent from Latin America, workbetternow.com.
Awesome. Again, thanks for joining. Thanks to you, those out there on LinkedIn, for tuning in. There's been a few comments congratulating you, Rob, and obviously on the podcast as well. So go pick up the New Talent from Rob Levin.
New Talent Playbook. John, thank you so much. I really enjoyed doing this with you, and thanks again for doing it.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening. The New Talent Playbook podcast is brought to you by Work Better Now. If you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on LinkedIn at the New Talent Playbook Podcast or visit thenewtalentplaybookpodcast.com.